Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Wednesday evening, guys. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as season. I got a word for you. Tap in. So, guys, actually, it's an email response. I got an email from someone actually, it was early this morning, but they must have seen my recording or heard my recording on yesterday in regards to knowing when your assignment or your time is up. So this is a individual, like several of you have told me you like when I give examples. Of course, we're all different, so we interpret things differently. People learn differently. People receive things differently. So I guess that's why you guys love my examples so well. When I'm giving examples, it's almost like it sounds like so redundant, but if you like examples, I will hopefully continue to give examples. I think I gave a couple of examples in that recording, but maybe not enough in detail. All right, so long-term versus short-term assignments. Now, keep in mind, I'm speaking from my experience. Again, my life, your life, whoever in life, we all have different assignments. We all have different lifestyles. We all are called to different things. So I'm speaking about assignments in the sense of however God is using me that day, that week, that month, that year. It can be strangers. It could be, relationships of different sorts. So it can be a number of things. Just however God uses me, I comply, I'm obedient, and it is what it is. All right. So I'll give you a few examples. I'll start with long-term assignments. All right. So, and I'll think a couple off of my top of my head. All right, so there's a couple of individuals within my business who either does not have family or who have completely abandoned family or vice versa. Family have abandoned them, whatever the case may be, right? So then God had been very clear to me that, okay, these are going to be individuals who are going to be with you for the long term. Because I am connected and because I am anticipating hearing from God, I pretty much know very early on. Very early on, sometimes like immediately early on, right? So I may not know all the details and how things are going to play out, right? In fact, I never do. I don't know all the details. All I know is that this is going to be a long-term assignment. And sometimes I don't know how long. It just means that this ain't going to be no 1 day, 1 week, even 1 month assignment. It could be 6 months. It could be a year. Could be 5 years. I don't know until I'm in there, right? I don't know until I'm in there. And then once I'm in there, then of course, things are kind of shifted and things like that because God don't really give you everything up front, right? But He will always provide, right? All right, so again, these individuals may not have anybody else for whatever reason. Some of these individuals may have given up on God. So sometimes the assignment is more so less just being that individual who love on them so much that they see God and that they find God again. Maybe they have given up on God because they have been hurt so bad, right? Because people are wicked in this world, right? So maybe they felt like there is no good person in this world any longer. Every single person is out for themselves, right? Everybody is evil. Everybody's heartless, right? That I'm in there loving on them in their most vulnerable times, sometimes very dark times, right? Because again, when you're dealing with people who have either been rejected or who just don't trust, that's a very, very difficult battle. Very difficult battle, right? Because they see you as everybody else. So now you have to show and prove, and you can't show and prove with your words, right? You can't just say, trust me. Your actions have to show. And many times that takes a long time of you just showing up. That takes a long time of just not running away when you have every single right to run away, right? But you sacrifice. You're obedient. Even when you don't, you might be talking crap, right? You might be talking crap to yourself, even to them maybe, but you ain't going nowhere. They couldn't get rid of you if they tried. In fact, they will try. So your obedience is really not to the person. It is, but it's not. Your obedience is to that assignment. So when God has tapped you and say, hey, okay, I got an assignment for you. It's going to be very difficult. Well, no, because God, not for me. He don't even be telling me how difficult some of these assignments be, right? He just let me know, like, listen, I need you over here. And I'm just like, okay, God, I got you. And then halfway in, I'm just like, Lord, you didn't tell me all this. And he was like, I had a reason why I didn't tell you, right? Because you would not have said okay. But now you said, okay, stick this thing out. I got you. Okay. Oh, God, I just had a flashback. But what I will say to you is this. Every single time, not most, all, every single time, if it was a God-given assignment, because listen, let me be real now, I've accepted some assignments that were not God-given assignments, right? It was flesh-given assignments. It was emotion-given assignments, right? It was heart-given assignments. And honey, woo, let's say you up in this thing on your own because God wants no part of that, right? You talking about difficult and spinning wheels and watering that grass and wasting time and just an emotional roller coaster, right? Those are our assignments. God wants no part of that. So I'm speaking right now about God-given assignments. Every single time I've seen the fruit of the individual finally trusting again, right? Finally believing in God again. Finally believing themselves again. And all of that was because of love. Many times in the sense of, why would you want to love me like this? Why would you want to stick around? Everyone else have left. All of my family. Everybody have. Why would you? You're a stranger. Why would you want to stick around? Right? So I always tell people, sometimes you have to, rather than tell people about God, you got to show people God. Words are just words. People, listen, we're all adults here. People will tell you anything, right? People will tell you, I love you. I got your back. I'm loyal. I'm this, I'm that. And what happens? 90% of the time, not 100, but 90% of the time, right? So anybody with some wisdom, they're not moved by words. You got to show up. You got to show up. Even when things are stink, you have to show up. There's been times, if I'm honest, being transparent, where I didn't like the individual, right? Not at the beginning. It's just that within the middle, things had got so tough. And it almost felt like I was just watering that grass, but I couldn't move. I could not move because I had already committed myself to the assignment. But I didn't like the individual. And they probably didn't like me, if I'm honest. Because let's say, okay. But I just kept hearing God say, love is not about like, right? And this is why you hear a lot of people say things like, love is not a feeling, right? I hear people say that a lot. It took me a long time to understand that, if I'm honest, because it's almost like, or love is a decision. I heard people say that. Love is a decision. That is so true. But it took me a long time to get that concept. But it's true. Because I might not like you, and I'm sitting here looking at you like, but I'm going to sacrifice because I know God will get the glory. It doesn't make sense to me, but this is a faith walk. And I promise you, like, you guys don't even know the third, because some of the stuff I can't even talk about, of course. Some of the stuff is legal things that I can't even talk about. Individuals I can't speak about, things like that, right? And truth of the matter is, I wouldn't, even if it wasn't like legal things involved, I wouldn't even talk about it because everything is not to be talked about, right? Again, you guys only know about Mr. Steve, the homeless gentleman, because he got a crush on you guys, so he wanted to be seen, right? But Mr. Steve is just one and I can't tell you how many. All right. So that's how long-term assignments work. Some of them still there. I can't even tell you how long. Honestly, I can't. It might be until they go meet Jesus. I don't know. But I'm committed until I hear God says otherwise. So those are long-term assignments. Again, it usually starts off extremely, well, it doesn't start off difficult. It starts off natural, right? You got to prove yourself, that type of thing. But in the middle, it gets extremely difficult because, of course, the enemy knows, potentially he's seeing some things great things that can happen. So he's going to fight both ends, you as well as the individual. He's going to kind of pin you guys against each other. You're going to want to literally strangle each other, right? But if you stick it out, if you keep your eyes on the prize, if you keep your eyes on the promise, and the promise could be, again, winning that person back to God, winning that person to trust, whatever the promise may be, whatever God has spoken to you privately, if you keep your eyes on that promise, you will see the fruit. And let me tell you, not only will you see the fruit from the individual getting their life back on track, you're going to get fruit that you wasn't even looking for. It's almost like a reward. It's almost like God saying, okay, I tried to use 20,000 other people and they said no, or they gave up, or they were just selfish and they just felt like they were on this earth for themselves and I couldn't use them to help anybody else. They didn't want to get uncomfortable, but you chose to, right? So I'm going to reward you. So I know within that middle, it seemed like hell, right? But because you stuck it out and now everything's great, I'm going to reward you for sacrificing. All right. So those are long-term assignments. Again, I still have several. I don't know, whatever. I guess we're in this thing for the long haul. I don't know, right? But God will provide. All right. Short-term assignments. Ironically, I made a short-term assignment today, and I'll tell you about that in a few. But short-term assignments can, and again, I get it instantly. The minute I meet the person, I get it instantly. Again, when I met Mr. Steve, right? Mr. Steve, I think, is going to be a long-term assignment, but of course, again, he has stage 4 cancer. I'm not saying that means he's going. They gave him, I think, up to 90 days. He's doing amazing, right? When I met him, I heard long-term assignment. I didn't hear the words long-term assignment, but I heard the words. You have to be responsible for him, but I'm going to show you how, maneuver, provide, things like that. And then I found out after the fact, he didn't have anybody. He had his daughter, but it's, different, estranged, that type of thing, but whatever. So when I first spoke with his daughter, the first thing she said to me was, right, that, again, she loved her dad, but the reason why he can't come live with her, or he refused to live with her because he won't do the right thing, meaning he won't stop drinking, he won't stop whatever he got going on, whatever he got going on, I don't even know. He won't stop doing these things, right? And he also, because he has such a huge heart, he wanted to bring all his other homeless friends in and bring them in whatever place she has him in. Like, let's just say she rent him a apartment or a hotel. She said, she'll find out the next day he got all like ladies who got maybe children and don't have a place to go. They're in the hotel. Anybody who's homeless, anybody he can take care of, he will bring them and take care of them in his room, right? He really, really is a beautiful soul. He really is. You guys can, if you're connected, you can tell. If you can see past his, his vices, you can tell he's a very gentle soul. He's a giving soul. Hey, every time he get his little check or his little money on his card, he calls me like, hey, I got some money. I want to give you back some money. Like, he's a very good soul. But guess what? If I had listened to her respectfully, she didn't say anything bad. She was trying to look out for me. Like, he's going to be bringing everybody homeless up in here. And he's going to be, not doing the right thing in the hotel. right? Now, if I had listened to her, meaning flesh, another human being, versus what God have said to me, then immediately I would have like, I'm not taking no chances with you. You're going to stay behind this right ear and sleep in this cold. But regardless of what I heard, regardless of what I seen, right, I have to stay connected to what God says to me. And I did. We're almost 2 months in. We're almost 2 months in. And guess what? Every week, when that front desk called me or I called them or whatever to make payment for the room or whatever, they go on and on and on about how clean he keeps his room, how he's the most wonderful person, and he, like, everyone loves him. He doesn't bother anyone. Like, you know, there's nobody in his ever comes to his room, which of course I'm on top of that so I can make sure there's nobody ever on top of his room. Like, in fact, he's the best resident that we have. The man doesn't even drink, right? I mean, if he does, maybe he says he doesn't. And if I'm honest, when I pop up or if I'm called, he's sober, right? And I have to also believe that too, because remember when I first met him, that was the whole issue of me having to block him because he would drink his little butt ice and then call my phone 35,000 times a day with some nonsense harassing my nerves. So I had to block him. Now he's not on block. I might hear from Mr. Steve once a week. And that tells me that he's not drinking. He's sober. Not only is he sober, every time he goes to the doctor, they're just like, you're getting better and better. You're getting better and better. Mr. Steve is doing amazing. But most importantly, because he had that warm, comfortable room that he quote unquote feels like a king in, he has built his relationship again with God, and he's connected spiritually, and he is at a wonderful place. But what if I believe that he would do the wrong thing? What if I believed everyone else who says you're crazy? Who in the world would pay, this kind of money for a homeless person? What if I believe that and go against the very same thing that God told me to do? So be very careful that when you're hearing from God, right? People are going to tell you things because people don't understand. First of all, again, if you're a visionary, right? I'm definitely a visionary, but if you're a visionary, when God shows you things, you just keep it to yourself. Because people will think you're crazy, right? Keep it to yourself. If you're a person who hears from God very clearly, again, like myself, right? You got to be okay with not everybody understanding, especially if that person is not connected the way you are or hear from God the way you hear from God. You got to be very, very careful, because if you're not solid in your walk, you will allow people to drop nuggets in your head, and then you will convert away from the very same assignment that God needs you to hold down in order for an individual to find him or come back to him. Now, why couldn't Mr. Steve's daughter or maybe someone else, because, he's had a couple of people try to help him. I've met a few, actually. Why does he do it for me and he wouldn't do it for them, right? That's the big question here. Could be a couple of reasons, right? Let's go with the flesh really quickly. I'm sure he has an attraction. First of all, he's never said that, right? But we know, ladies, we know, right? But I promise you, I don't care about the type of stuff. And that's why I tell people I'm called to men. But when I tell you that stuff does not faze me, and of course, I'm not saying Mr. Steve is a hunk. I'm not saying like, okay, well, because somebody's probably saying, well, it's because he's, I've been called to some very, very attractive, powerful men. But it's about making sure you, again, are so planted in your assignment to know that how, because let me tell you something, honey, what you don't want to do is have to go back and answer to God on how you fumbled the ball because you couldn't get past the flesh, even though it was a spiritual assignment. You don't want to have to go and answer to God with that. Trust me when I tell you. So could it be that Mr. Steve has a liking towards me? I don't care. As long as he doesn't make it disrespectful or constantly harass my nerve about that. But in all honesty, he's very, very respectful towards me. Very. But that's because also how I present myself with him. Also, could it be that as big as my heart is, as loving as I am, I play no games. Point blank, period. I play no games. So when God uses you, you have to be someone who's fluid, right? You have to be able to be loving, be kind, be gentle, but be very firm when necessary, right? Speak with authority when necessary, but still respect and love everyone if they are homeless or the CEO, point blank, period. So even though I love on Mr. Steve, I'm sure you guys see in the video how he just constantly say how he experienced love, right? But I'm very firm with him. Like, listen. Listen. Your daughter already told me now that you have a big heart as well. And I love that. I love you have a big heart. But you can't take care of yourself right now. So you're not about to be bringing. I'm just letting you know, when I go up front, I will have a spare key. I will pop up, right? They have my number, my home number, my cell number. And if they call me one time and tell me that you're smoking in their room, that you're bringing somebody in here, I'm going to pick you up, I'm going to pack you up, and I will drive you back to the Rite Aid myself. Point blank, period. Period. Play with it. It's your choice. So, maybe the other people, maybe his daughter, maybe people weren't able to be that firm. I don't know. Maybe because he really experienced true, authentic, genuine love from myself, that he truly want to reciprocate, right? His gratitude. I don't know. It's not my problem. It's not my question. All I'm doing is I'm being obedient to what God has told me to do. And God has told me that if he mess it up, he going back behind the Rite Aid. And my God, my heart won't my heart won't allow me to take him back behind the Rite Aid, but I would definitely drive his behind to somebody's Walmart or somebody's somewhere that's open 24 hours where he can be warm. 2 months later, I have had no problem. Zero. All right, short term. I don't even know how I got on Mr. Steve. I need to call and check on him. That might be a conviction to call and check on his butt, right? Short term. Let me give you a popular, this happens a lot. Not a lot, but often. I'll meet someone. And again, it takes me. You know what? There's a guy I met today. I'll probably share that video tomorrow, right? And this is another, what I'm talking about right now is similar. His recording, he wanted me to share it because he wanted to help others as well. But I'll maybe work on that and share that tomorrow or Friday. But with short-term assignments, a lot of times what happens is I will meet an individual. Either they're asking for money, right? Because of course, drugs or whatever the case may be. Maybe not. They could look like a normal individual, but instantly I can tell that they're addicted to something. Again, it can be pills, it can be coke, it can be crack. Sometimes it's very obvious, sometimes it's not, but my spirit tells me, boom, instantly, they're addicted to something, right? But the average person, the fleshly individual, what do most people do? They turn their back and bye, you crackhead, I'm not even having a conversation with you, that type of thing. Well, I'm convicted to move in love. But first and foremost, what I do, I let them speak. And you'll hear this recording that I'm going to share tomorrow. I let them speak. I let them get all that stuff out. Well, someone gave me such and such. I lost my such and such. And, I can't find my such and such. And I got put out this such. All of them stories that they give you, right? We all know the stories that people on drugs give you, right? I let them get all that stuff out. I listen to them. I respect them, right? Even though I know they're lying, I know the game, right? But I'm going to listen to you because you're still a human being, and I want to still let you know that some people out here still respect you. But when you finish, I'm going to let you know what it is, right? So the gentleman today, handsome white guy, a mess, in the sense of the physical, because of course he's homeless or he's addicted, blonde hair, blue eyes, very handsome guy, but just disheveled. And so I let him get all that stuff out. And when he got finished, the first thing I said to him, listen, no judgment here, but I already see your demons, right? I can tell you what your demons are. But more than anything, what I want you to know is this right here. I know society tells you you're this, you're that, you're a bum, you're homeless, you're this, you're a crackhead, you're a meth head, you're a heroin addict, all this stuff, right? I know society tells you that. But I want you to know I see a person. I see an individual who've been through some trauma, who maybe dabbled into some things and can't find their way out. But I want you to know that God still loves you. I want you to know that you being honest with me and telling me why you really need this $20, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to say I'm going to give it to you, but I'm not going to judge you. That conversation turned into our conversation. And before I knew it, tears were falling. You got to see the video. Tears were falling the whole 9 yards. And it was deep. It was deep. So with him, after speaking with him, the spirit kept saying to me, there's a spirit of suicide, right? Keep in mind that I'm on temporary assignments. There's a spirit. So with the temporary assignments, there's always something I need to say or do, meaning I need to tell them or I need to pray for them, which I'm very careful because you can't just be touching on anyone. So I definitely have the okay to pray for this guy today, right? But the spirit kept telling me to tell him, don't give up on himself, meaning don't kill yourself, right? Because it just kept coming back. So after we talked for a while, I said to him, I cut him off, right? Because it was getting so, it was almost like, like how you see like a video or something like maybe like a heart that's beating and thumping, right? That's how the spirit was just coming to me about the suicide. So I kept looking at him and I said, listen, I don't mean to cut you off, but don't give up on yourself. And he looked at me, right? Like, how do you, don't give up on yourself. And he wouldn't say anything. He just kept looking at me. I said, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. And tears just start falling. Tears just start falling. So after speaking to him for maybe about 30 more minutes or whatever the case may be, I would have to edit the video because some of it was just, a lot of rambling. Of course, he's on drugs, so whatever. But we had he knew God, very powerful conversation. So I want to make sure I pull up some of the meat of the things that he was saying. No, God loves God, but just lost. That's all. But once we got finished, he looked at me. He said, I love you. And I said, I love you too. It's the love of God. Period. It's the love of God. And then he just kept saying, I've never met any. And I said, that's also what those tears were about too. Because when you have been criticized and put down for so long and everybody just calling you this and giving up on you, when God places somebody in your life, even if it's for 5 minutes, where that person can see through you that God still loves them in spite of, that's a very, very vulnerable feeling. And so sometimes God will use you if you're patient enough, if you're obedient enough to look past the dirt, to look past the addiction, to look past the homelessness, to look past the anger, the defensiveness, the this, the that, all that stuff. If God can use you to get to this person, God will get the glory, because there is no way in heck a stranger or just another human being will sacrifice themselves to a certain level to allow God to shine. So that person knows it has to be God, because you don't know me, right? You don't know me. How many times Mr. Steve said that in that recording? You don't even know me. You don't even know me. It's God. God gets the glory. So then, okay, boom, he's gone. He said to me when he walked off, he said, listen. And he started flirting. But again, I don't even care about the nonsense, right? And he said, and you'll see in the recording, he said, all right, well, since I can't date you or something like that. And he started walking off. He said, I'll see you soon. And he looked back when he was walking off and he said, if I don't see you soon, or if I don't see you again, right? Because I'm still traveling. I'm in the midst. God's just sending me all over the place. He was like, if I don't see you again, I will see you again. And I said, you will. But don't you give up on don't you give up on yourself tonight. He said, well, thanks to you, I'm not. But so that's short term. How do I know that I was not to take him and to put him in shelter like Mr. Steve? Because I didn't get that. Same scenario, both homeless, but I didn't get that. I didn't get that download. I just got the download to drop that nugget to him and keep it moving. Where there's been an individual who still wouldn't admit that they're on drugs. I don't care, because I already know, right? I don't care if you admit it, I already know it, right? And I haven't brought it to their attention because I don't have to say, hey, I know you're on drugs. That's not what God told me to say. God just told me that when this person is in my presence, that my energy will transfer to them, right? When I touch them, right? Because this person like to laugh and lean on me. So sometimes it's just about people being in your presence to be able to connect to your spirit. Sometimes that spirit will transfer over to them. And you don't have to say anything. And do you know, two of these individuals, to the very forefront of my mind right now, two of these individuals, one often listens to my YouTube, so I don't know, honey, this might be your day of coming out, because I'm telling you, I know. But I love you anyway, right? All right. So two of these individuals have now, they're good. They're good. And I'm not going to sit here and say, well, they don't struggle or have urges of addiction, because from my understanding with addicts, you will always I guess, have the urge or something like that, but you just kind of have to stay one day at a time. That's what I heard. But these individuals are great. So it was not long term. It was either dropping some certain words, right? One individual, this person, honey, actually is currently in rehab. I'm so proud of her. One day, and I knew it wasn't a long-term assignment. Now my heart wanted it to be long-term. My emotions wanted it to be long-term. But spirit, I was convicted very heavy that it will not be. Why? Because sometimes you have to be careful, because sometimes, even though you're playing it and all the stuff like that, when you're mixing around too much and God have already told you to walk away from that thing, you mess around and them dang old spirits jump up on you, and somebody got to be praying them spirits up off of you, right? So listen, if God says go, I got to go, point blank, period. But this individual, God, we were sitting in the car one day. This person had admit to having a little addiction problem. But of course, most people with addiction, not all, but most, they kind of downplay it. So it's almost like it's weed, right? Or it's just a little pill every now and then. And it's a whole charade, a whole zoo going on up over there, right? Okay. So Listen, you say that's what it is. That's what it is. But God done told me different, but that ain't none of my business. All I'm going to tell you is this right here. You know what God told me just now? What God tell you, Kizzy? Let me tell you what God just tell me. I'm going to be the last one and the final one used to give you this last warning. Take it how you want to take it. Obviously, there's been 4,000 or 5,000 people before me, and you won't listen. I'm telling you now. This is your last warning. I don't know what that means. I don't know if God is telling you, listen, there is there's destruction, but warning before destruction. I don't know. I'm not putting it out in the universe. That's between you and God. Only you know what that means, but I'm telling you, God told me to tell you, this is your last warning. Goodbye. I got to go. Assignment, boom, done. Person is currently in rehab. It is what it is. Assignment is over, short term. I said what I said. I said what I was instructed. Short term assignment. Long term just means it's some ongoing stuff. I don't know what it is, but it's constantly ongoing. Short term either means I got to pray with you, pray for you, or send you to someone who can help you, or just give you a word or whatever it is that God tells me to do. But many short-term assignments are either from individuals who may be struggling with an addiction, or maybe just someone who may have had like a really bad, it could be a number of things. I'm sure you guys get the point. So how long have I been running my mouth? 36 minutes on it. You guys have a great night. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.